Okay. Well, good morning, NeoLife family. Great to have you on the call with us today. I hope you are all having a very fun and productive week and you're going to have a good Friday. My name is Drew McDermott and we are going to get stuck straight into it this morning. We've got a lot of ground that we're going to cover. I am online right now with three amazing doctors, Dr. Cezanne Ambassi, Dr. Andre van der Hoeven, and Dr. Barry Bland. And I've asked them to join us this morning just to, they all have fascinating stories as to why they decided to take a closer look at NeoLife. And in some cases, they were extremely skeptical. And so I'm going to ask them all just to share their story with us. But then also what I found so interesting is the reasons that compelled them to put their stake in the ground and say, hey, NeoLife is the nutrition that I'm going to take myself. NeoLife is the nutrition that I'm going to give to my families. And NeoLife is the nutrition that I'm going to put my name behind as a doctor. And so I'm going to give them each some time to share their story with you and their compelling reasons. And then we're going to go into a questions and answer session. Okay, we're going to see how much time we've got for questions and answer session. And I've got our wonderful Liz Geertz, our product specialist, director of product for NeoLife Africa online. Good morning to you, Liz. And we will answer some of your questions. So there is a questions and answer panel that is open below. You can click on that and type your question in there. I'm going to ask you to keep your questions product related. We're not going to go into heavy diagnosis questions. Okay, I just don't think it's fair to put our doctors in the position with limited information to be making those big calls at all. So, but please bring your product questions and we will answer some of them where we can. So good morning to you, team. Great to have you online with us this morning. And I am going to pick Dr. Andre van der Hoeven to kick it off for us this morning. Welcome, Dr. Andre. How are you?
Hi, Drew. I'm absolutely fine, and I hope everyone else is doing well too. And thanks very much for this invitation. My journey with NeoLife started a long time ago. Not quite as long ago as Barry's, but for me, but it was 30 years ago. And I came into it because I was in trouble, actually. And my problem was that I had just been diagnosed with a late stage cancer diagnosis. And I had two young children, they were 8 and 5 years old. It was super important that I get well. And I decided that I would go the full medical route, which I did, chemo, surgery, radiation, the whole lot. But what I did know, because I am trained as a biochemist and immunologist, was that really what mattered was that my body have all the tools on hand to do what it knew best, and that was to heal itself. So while the doctors were busy doing their thing, I turned my face away from them, figuratively, and I decided that I was going to do anything I could to support my health during the process. Because as you know, the medical treatments are very toxic, to put it frankly. And it's really a battle between whether your body can survive the treatment and overcome the disease or die of the treatment and possibly the disease. So I went on a search. I was looking for something that I could take and trust and that I felt would help me. And it's important that when you make a choice about anything that you take, that you have a degree of faith in it, that you believe that somehow this is going to work for you. Because if you take something believing that it won't work, then you might as well not take it. And so I did go on a search. I was looking for nutritional supplements specifically, and I was extremely grateful when somebody showed me the NeoLife range. It was called GNLD at the time. I think it's changed names several times. But I just want to make a point to all of you at this point, and that is that if that person had not taken the trouble to show me the products, I might never have learned about them. And so there is a huge responsibility placed on all of us who have heard about the products, who have joined the business, to actually tell people about it. Because if we don't, and they don't find out about it, they may not get hold of some of what I believe to be the best products available anywhere. So why were these products so important to me? they were important because they ticked two very important boxes. The first one was that they were fully researched. They were backed by science. Now, I am a scientist by training, and so that really matters to me. And I looked into that, and I found that the research supporting the products was absolutely impeccable. They didn't put anything out that they did not know worked. And so I could put my scientific faith in the products. And then the other aspect that I thought was very important, and I still think is very important, is that all the products were nature-based. That is, they came from the normal human food chain. They weren't fiddled with. We are so extremely good at fiddling with things and changing things and thinking that we can improve them. And that is simply not so when it comes to food and nutrition. We are given, we are gifted the nutrition that we need. We just have to make sure that we are getting it. And so that is a very important aspect. And I'm quite intrigued by all the new products that come out. And basically, they are very much the same as medicinal drugs because they have been fiddled with. They are not normal foods. And so they've been altered by science to apparently work better. And I'm absolutely certain that they will not work better. They will fail just in the same way as much of the medicines have failed us or caused really bad side effects. So I started taking these products 30 years ago for my own purposes. I had these two kids, and they were the ENT specialists' dream. They were always getting colds and coughs and sore ears and what have you. And when I started giving them the kids' nutrition, it absolutely transformed their lives. And we ceased going to the doctors after that. And then the third person in the family was my husband, who was going through very stressful situation at work at the time. And he started taking the products really as a grudge because I wanted him to. And after 1 month of taking the Daily Vitality Pack, he sheepishly asked for more because he had noticed that he was feeling better. But what was more exciting to me was that his colleagues, who didn't know what he was doing, asked him what it was he was doing differently because he was coping so much better with the very stressful situation at work. So do I believe in the products? Absolutely 100%. Can anyone tell me they don't work? Absolutely not. Can anyone tell me that they're too expensive? Absolutely not. And my greatest concern is that more people know about it, which is all of our jobs, and that start with anything that you can start with will be better than nothing, is my mantra. So I hope that paints a little bit of a picture. And the other thing is, please consider prevention. It's far, far cheaper and far more comfortable at every level not to get sick than to have the hammer blow to the head. The cancer diagnosis is not fun. And if you want to know what expensive is, try getting sick. Your bank balance never looks the same after a serious illness. So get onto some products. I 100% endorse them in every way. Hope that helps you, and enjoy the ride with NeoLife.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dr. van der Hoeven. Great to you. That's an amazing story. That truly is an amazing story. So you started the products 30 years ago because you had a major health challenge, and along with the medical treatment that you went through, along with the nutrition, you had amazing results. And I know you personally, and you are one of the healthiest and most active people I know. And I just think very few people who had the same diagnosis, cancer diagnosis that you had, would be in the same health position today if you didn't do what you did.
That's absolutely true. The people that I got to know quite well going through the same treatment at the same time. And so they're people that I continued to relate to afterwards. They became friends, in other words. Not one of them made the 5-year mark.
And that was chemotherapy treatment that you're going through at the time.
That was chemotherapy, yes. And they had a few years of life, not very great quality of life. When you're being treated, it's not a pleasant time. And they did not live to tell the tale very long after that. And for me, 5 years was not enough. So now it's 30 years, and I'm looking at, I don't know, another 30 maybe.
That'd be nice.
If anyone's journey with me.
Fantastic. Thank you,
yeah.
Dr. Andre, for your story. Really appreciate that. Okay, next up is Dr. Barry Bland. Barry, can you turn your video on? There you go. Barry, good morning to you. How are you this morning?
Hey, always good. Thanks, Andrew.
Good. Yeah, I know your story backwards, and I use your story many times. I just think it's fantastic. And so why don't you're sharing your story with many people who have never heard it this morning. So I'm going to give you the floor. Take it away.
Thanks, Andrew. The thing about the story is it doesn't change. It's what happened. So it's not like there's always a new one. Yeah, Andrew, my wife saw the product, used one of the skincare products, and decided that she wanted to do something more with it. And that's how we got involved with Golden Products as it was then. We needed the opportunity. We'd recently emigrated to South Africa and we're starting again, actually, come from Zim. And I had a consultant post in Durban in anesthetics, and I was working as a doctor there. So, but we're still starting brand new, and so it was there was a need, but I was quite happy for Pat to do it. I couldn't see myself being involved in a sales business. I was an anesthetist, and anesthetists keep people quiet as opposed to talk to them. And so it was certainly not something that I could see myself being involved with, but it was okay if Pat, my wife, wanted to do it. So that's how it started. At the time, I was involved in research at the university, and I was doing a lot of reading in the library. And one of the things that interested me was the fact that here was Pat talking to me about nutrition, which I knew nothing about, but talking about things like omega. Then suddenly I start seeing in the research journals, in the New England Journal of Medicine particularly, information about omega-3. So suddenly I'm getting scientific information as well as what I considered to be not such true information coming from a different direction. And when you put them together, of course, you see it all marries up. So that initial skepticism, which was big, was there. Obviously, with the cleaning products and the skincare products, they work. But with nutrition, it's more difficult to kind of determine that that's the case. But we were using, particularly the omega and the Formula 4, in fact. But after a period of time, I can't remember exactly when, but I got hepatitis and I was very unwell. And Pat insisted that I take a whole bunch of stuff, effectively the Daily Vitality Pack and the shakes. And that made a big difference for me. So now I could feel that the nutrition worked. I just didn't know why it worked. And so when you start investigating more, realize that NeoLife has this amazing long history of research and development. And any questions that I had, I was able to get good, solid physiological answers to how these products were working and what they were doing in the body. And so that initial skepticism started to disappear because of information. As Andre was saying earlier, you know, we're scientists and we want to know that there is proof here. But I think one of the big differences with the NeoLife products overall is the fact that they are food-based. The basic philosophy of the company has always been it should be based in nature, but to have scientific backup to that. And so that was where it gelled for me that those things were in place, and my confidence and understanding and all of those things started to increase, improve, and get to the point where I was very comfortable now talking to people and talking to them about the product and that it could make a difference. And over the years, certainly, personally, with our family, I've got 3 daughters and 8 grandkids, making sure that they all get what they need nutritionally. And as you can imagine, right now, with all of the various goings on with the coronavirus, just making even more sure that our immune systems are functioning the way that they should. And we've got the facility to be able to do that with excellent products. I think that's the big thing. You get products that have a label, but you want to know what's behind that label. And that is where we can be absolutely confident with our scientific advisory board and, you know, what that has provided. But along with, you know, as I say, an excellent range of products that actually make a difference to us is a financial opportunity. And that has certainly been our experience, Pat and my experience over the 30 odd years that we've been involved. It has provided for us, literally. And the education of our kids and all of those things. And of course, our retirement. I mean, I don't ever want to retire. I see no reason to do that. And here we have an opportunity where no one is going to tap me on the shoulder and say, Barry, you're reaching retirement age. It's time you left. Can't happen. Self-employed. And it's amazing. And then you look at a situation like we're in right now in lockdown, we're able to continue to operate. I think, you know, we have something that is so versatile and financially that we can continue to operate online like we're doing. I mean, this is just incredible that we can do this. But with a range of products that you can be very comfortable in recommending to whoever you come across. And I've often said, you can take your hand, dip it into a box blindfolded of our products, and whatever you take out will be of benefit to you. By knowing a little bit more about the products, you can maybe guide the hand a bit better, but you are going to be and have a benefit from that. Just one little story. With my hepatitis, there was another anaesthetist, a Polish guy, who was very unwell at pretty well the same time as I was. I think I saw his wife probably about 10 years ago now. So this is 20 odd years later. He still cannot walk into an operating theatre because his liver was damaged to the point where just smelling the anesthetic gases in the theatre tips him over into where he becomes jaundiced. Now, my blood levels were much higher than his at the time. And the repair that happened was much better. And so here I am in a situation where I am not incapacitated at all by that episode of hepatitis 30 odd years ago. I can eat and drink and anything that, I need to. So it really, in my mind, we've got an amazing range of products. There's no doubt about that. And we have a phenomenal opportunity, a phenomenal business opportunity that works. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Barry. Keep your video in for a second. That is just an incredible story. And I've got to say, Barry, I think Barry in the beginning was one of those very, very tough customers. And we've all had those in the beginning. He was extremely skeptical about nutrition, which he mentioned, until his wife, Pat, got him onto the nutrition under his circumstances and the illness that he had picked up. And he experienced the benefit. And by experiencing the benefit, that's where the believability came from. And that is why we say the number one daily success habit is use the products. If Barry never used the products, he could have read about these products and nutrition in the medical journals, but it was through using the products that he built up this incredible, unshakable belief. And then you would have heard, Barry transitioned into the business side of things. He believed in the product and so saw NeoLife as a viable business opportunity. But the interesting part of that story is, again, he was incredibly skeptical. NeoLife, network marketing, skeptical. It was only really when Pat, his wife's little part-time business, started doubling his full-time anesthetics income in 2 or 3 years, I think it was, Barry. Is that correct?
4.5, and I went full-time, yeah.
4.5 years. Okay, so it works. You did a full circle, Barry. Well done.
Well, it took me about 17 years going through medical school and specializing to get to that point where Pat was able to double my income in a 4.5-year period.
Wow.
It's an opportunity that works.
Powerful. Fantastic. Barry, thank you so much. Okay, Dr. Nambasi, let's get you online with us. Good morning, Dr. Nambasi. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, here we have another medical professional with an amazing story. And I've chosen you to go last because, yes, you're a doctor, you specialize in the field of HIV, which is hugely relevant in today's world. But it wasn't the nutrition that initially attracted you to NeoLife, was it?
Well, my story is actually quite interesting. I'd been looking. I was looking for different cleaning products. But because I was too busy, I wasn't going to go down the route of making my own. So I started searching and I chopped and changed. And my family would tell you that I was trying out a new cleaning product almost every month to do the laundry and to clean the house. But the bottom line is I just didn't enjoy what I was buying. My kids were also small, the same age as Andre's, coincidentally, 5 and 8, when we were introduced to this opportunity. Now, how we were introduced was somebody actually called me, picked up our name and called me and asked me if he were to show me a way to look at a way to make an income, would I be interested? And I said, yes, I would like to have a look, but is it legal? And he said, yes, 100% legal. Then he ultimately invited us to look at a presentation. So when we got there, there was this product display, and on the display were cleaning products. And the gentleman was describing them. And I heard all the things that I had been looking for: non-toxic, highly economical, biodegradable. In other words, they did not ruin the environment. Now, that was important to me because as a little girl growing up, I had this picture of a world that was happy and everybody was healthy and everybody knew what to do to remain that way. It must have been one of those that everybody looked around and thought to themselves, what kind of world does she imagine? So they advised me that with those kinds of ideas, please go to medical school. So out of obedience, yeah, I went to medical school, but it was quite, I think I call it a traumatic journey, because what I found in medical school was going counter to that vision that I had had as a young child growing up, because all I was seeing around me were people who were terribly sick, and they arrived following a lifetime of life happening to them. Things like alcohol, trauma, different diseases. And then at the time we went to medical school was when HIV came to the fore. I was in medical school when we started seeing HIV people. That was in the 80s. And I remember distinctly, that's more or less when I met my current husband. Well, my only husband that I've ever had. And I remember there was a lady who was terribly sick, and we decided, let's buy her some food, good fruits and vegetables, and just bless her with that and see what will happen. And what do you know? She actually made such a tremendous change in her symptoms. She became more energetic. She became happier. And I thought to myself, but that's what I remember from my childhood. That's what I wanted to focus on. So again, it convinced me that it is not what we don't have, it's actually what we don't know. But then back to the cleaning products. When we were introduced, I just told Eddie that I'm going to get started because I like what I heard that gentleman say. I did hear about the nutrition, but up to that point, I was one of those who thought, well, I'm eating as best as I can. I will look at the supplements when I have to, but for now, I need to change the cleaning. And what do you know? I threw everything out from my cupboard, everything, including the car shampoo that was sitting there to wash the cars, and replaced everything. And my children, the eczema, the hay fever started clearing up. Meanwhile, I was studying. I was not going to talk to anybody until I convinced myself that yes, what the man said, that they were economical and they were non-toxic, was indeed true. And that's what I discovered. And after that, nobody could keep me quiet. However, let's fast forward to today. I feel so vindicated that 25 years ago, I made that decision to change the things I was cleaning with and to start on the nutritionals, because that actually gave us all even better health. That today, there's so much research that is proving that a lot of the lifestyle diseases, diabetes, hypertension, stress, anxiety, obesity, and overweight are actually linked to a lot of the environmental toxins that we are exposed to. And I like to call it choice, because you can choose what you're going to wash your clothes with. You can actually choose what you're going to have a bath with, what you're going to shower with, what you're going to put on your face. And so right now, we are in lockdown. And this has been something that we can get the positives out of, courtesy NeoLife, but it just hasn't happened all of a sudden that this virus has caused us to remain locked down. Because what have we been doing to our immune systems, I believe, is the key question that we all need to answer. And right now we are getting the opportunity to answer it on an individual basis, to say, what is my personal responsibility? How do I influence what happens to my health? And you see, at medical school, this was the teaching. People will arrive, you will make a diagnosis, and then you'll set about to sort out that whatever diagnosis you've made. In other words, they arrive, you name it, then you blame it, you blame that diagnosis for how the person is feeling, and then you try and tame whatever it is that you have decided they've got. And I wasn't happy with that. I just thought that, no, there must be a different paradigm. You can't keep throwing pills at every ill. There's no quick fix in life. That was my conviction. And I think right now in this corona epidemic, the key and the bottom line is how competent is your immune system? How well prepared is the innate immune system? That is the immune system that is inbuilt within us. How competent is it to deal with this new or novel corona? And that is the bottom line, because right now they're talking vaccines, but a vaccine will require a competent immune system for it to be effective. And yeah, that I guess I shouldn't get started on that one. But anyway, this business now, for the vision that I have, it has given me the freedom to follow my passion. And my passion is right back to the basics, to say, how can we educate people to know their responsibility to themselves and their families and to the world at large? How can we do that? And NeoLife has it all nicely covered up with the products that they provide us and the opportunity. So I'm so glad that I can truly say that one of my visions was to leave a legacy. And yes, in 1996, we took the business to Uganda. And that was after I tugged at the then president of NeoLife and said, I need this opportunity into Uganda and into the rest of East Africa, and it will grow from there. And I'm happy to say that has come to pass, thanks to NeoLife and thanks to the greater NeoLife family. It isn't just what I've done, but what NeoLife has provided for us and what everybody does as a family in NeoLife. So yes, I'm happy about what we are doing here. And I just want to say the world is filled with that instant. We want something instant. We want instant coffee. We want microwave. There's nothing like that. Not even with our health can we expect a quick fix. There's a time to cultivate whatever it is you've planted before you can harvest. And that's what we are learning in NeoLife. And that's my story. Thank you.
Wonderful. Wow. Cesar, thank you so much. Just listening to those three stories, guys, that, if you listen to those stories, there's so many nuggets of information and training and belief that you can take away and take out of those three stories. And all of you can turn your video on for me, please, all the panelists. So guys, I want to thank you, but listening to those stories, it really gives me, it reveals the heart of this NeoLife family. And here we have three doctors who have taken an hour out of their Friday morning to be with us. Very seldomly do you have a nice conversation with a doctor and they don't send you an invoice or a bill. But here we have three doctors who are prepared to give their information, give everything that they have to this NeoLife family, because they are part of our mission to make this world a healthier and a happier place. They want to see us as a NeoLife family end this trend of chronic disease and poverty. So we just want to thank you for your time. And we're going to get stuck into some questions, some great questions that have come through. So you can all unmute yourselves for me, and whoever wants to answer the question can go for it. But I'm going to start off with actually a home care question, which I'm going to target to Liz Geertz right now. And that question is, can you please clarify the use of LDC and care for people wanting to protect themselves? We seem to have low alcohol content. I think that's a great question. Liz, are you there?
I am here.
I'll repeat the question. And it's a question that a lot of us are getting from our customers right now during this coronavirus time. So it's very, very relevant. Can you please clarify the use of LDC and care for people wanting to protect themselves? We seem to have a low alcohol content.
Okay, you hear me, Andrew?
Yep.
Yeah, good. Hi, everybody. Yeah, look, the question goes round and around, and as you know, Cesar was also talking about the virus, but perhaps just to get some clarity, because we pack quite a punch, so I want people to just get some perspective on using not just one product, not just care, but we could be selling 2 products. Because if we can just look at this virus for a minute, or viruses in general, they have to have a host cell, but outside of a host, their structure is one of their primary protectors and also their weakest link. So for example, this virus we're talking about in the family that it fits into, it has an outer coating, a fatty outer coating, or an envelope as they call it. Now, when you use a detergent agent or a surfactant, that's really what the active is, it can actually work on that outer coating. And an example that all of you would know is when you use LDC in the demonstration that you do, you put oil all over people's fingers and hands, rub it in there, and proudly remove all that oil with LDC.
Yeah. So
in actual fact, that surfactant activity is breaking down fat and trapping it, if you like. So LDC has the potential, and also of course we've been told to wash our hands frequently and for 20 seconds. So instead of people going out and buying another product, let's have it in every home and doing that very cleaning action, but using the surfactant capabilities of LDC to break down fat. And what it's doing is actually breaking down that fatty envelope. And then when you're rinsing, you're washing away not the virus, but you're washing away that fatty envelope. Now what you've done, remember I said it's its primary protector and its weakest link. So when you've taken away its primary protection, you now have a weakened and vulnerable virus. So now you're doing that, and you're doing it regularly and on all surfaces, including your hands, as I say. And now you come along with care, which is now able to do its good work because it's a registered effective disinfectant. And now it's working on a weakened virus. You've already gotten inside that virus, if you like. You've thrown away its coating. So that synergy of the 2 products together is very, very powerful. Just so that you are aware that care does have some surfactant in it, so it has got some detergent or breaking ability, as it were. But when you put LDC with it, it's got 3 surfactants, so it's a much more powerful stripper of fat or that envelope. So I hope that makes sense. And then people are also asking, well, you haven't got much alcohol in the product of care. Now, care is not using alcohol as its active ingredient. It's using, excuse me, quaternary ammonia compounds, QACs, which is a highly effective disinfecting agent. And as you know, the product has been tested and verified with the SABS and all the registration it requires. So we are using that as our active. So we've put, yes, 5% alcohol in there. And in fact, interestingly, it's a natural source of alcohol. So that means it's very much more gentle on the skin, for example. But the reason why we've put it in at all is because there's a synergistic activity between our active ingredient, quaternary ammonia compounds, and some degree of alcohol. And 5% is that level. When they put the 2 together, they enhance one another's activity. So let's not get all worked up about this alcohol thing. And some people have asked also, can we add alcohol to our care to up the number? No, don't do that, because that's not how it's already designed as a product. So don't fiddle with it. And it's not the fact that it's just that alcohol. We already have an effective disinfecting agent, and it's already pre-formulated. So don't do that. So I hope that people realize LDC should be in every home. If it isn't now for various other reasons, it should be in every home now for all that washing of hands we're being told to do. They're buying products from somebody else. And LDC is doing the perfect job for you of as I say, of weakening that virus's primary protection. And then you come along and give it a second punch with some care, and you're really doing a good job what was intended here. Remember, sanitizers, by definition, are not, they don't kill microorganisms, they reduce the number. So you put a sanitizer on, it reduces the number. A disinfectant actually kills the microorganisms that are around it. That's the sort of distinction one with the other. So I hope that
Liz, can I ask a question there? It sounded like it was okay to mix LDC and care together as a real double whammy.
Yeah.
But are you saying you can mix that, or?
Okay, that's a good question, Barry, because you're right. People would say, well, let's do one step. Not a good idea, because of the chemistry of both of them, without getting technical, positives and negatives, when you put them together, they kind of neutralize one another. So rather enable each one of them to do their job the way it does it, and they will work much more effectively. And so people are saying, if they're worrying about the fact that, oh, it's 2 products, just remember that we're being told to wash our hands all the time. So that LDC should be around everywhere, and just squirt some care on afterwards once it's dried. Can I just finish one thing off, since you've mentioned that about then squirting it onto human skin, which of course we've not, that's not generally something we've recommended in the past, not because it's dangerous, it just wasn't the way we were selling care. But, and someone actually asked this question that, it says on the label, prolonged skin care or contact is not a good idea. Now remember, that label information is about the concentrate, the bottle of one, let's say, liter of the actual care before you've diluted it. That's the first point. It does need a 5-minute contact time. That's part of what makes it a fancy product. We've tested it. We know how long it needs to be on a surface. So it does need to make contact with whatever surface you're putting it on for 5 minutes. That is not prolonged, to be honest, and it's now in a diluted form anyway. But remember, it must have that contact. And all of you that have used it, I mean, when you spray it on, it's not tacky. It actually dries very quickly. But don't immerse your hands in water, certainly within that 5 minutes. Give it its time to do its job. That's how the product's designed.
Great.
That's me.
Thank you. And I think that's the beauty about our care, is you can spray it onto your hands or whatever, and it's not tacky. You just leave it on, it evaporates, it dries, and it's there. So it's very easy to get that 5-minute contact time. But I just think it's so interesting, because during this time, every man and his dog seems to have become an expert in sanitizers and disinfectants. And just because it has a high alcohol content, has it been proven to do what it needs to do? And that's where the real benefit of our product comes in. It has been proven and tested and verified to do what we say it's going to do. Great. Okay, so next question. Thank you, Liz. Next question is coming from Tessa Dwayne. A customer suffers from toxin buildup in his cells as he can't detox efficiently. I recommended the Tren-N so that his cells work better, but he said that he can't take omega-6. Okay, I suggested the benefits of the Tren-N will outweigh the tiny amount of omega-6 he would get in the Tren-N. When he did take Tren-N a while ago, it did help him as he battled with constipation. So yes, our grain oils naturally have omega-6 content. How would you answer that question? That can go to anybody.
I would, we need omega-6. It's not that we don't need omega-6. It is one of the parts of our diet, and we need it. It's just that we have too high a concentration and ratio compared to the omega-3s. And so you're getting more of the inflammatory aspects of omega-6 without the balancing anti-inflammatory effects of omega-3. And so the idea is to get in more omega-3 than aim at omega-6. But we still need omega-6. It's not like we...
It's an essential oil, right?
Yeah.
So the benefits of Tren-N would outweigh that.
I always remember Dr. Don Lawson saying, this is a slightly different example, but people who suffer with lactose intolerance, for instance, improve. This was years ago, going on to the NutriShake, which has lactose in it. And the reason being is that by getting all of those 22 amino acids regularly, it far outweighed the short-term problems of the lactose intolerance. And so ultimately, those people were able to move away from the lactose intolerance as opposed to an allergy. Allergies and intolerance are two different things. Okay. And, you know, it's much the same as that, I think. The benefits of what the threonine can do to the metabolism within the cell far outweighs any of the effects of the omega-6 that you're getting along with it.
Fantastic. Okay, great. Okay, next question. Our NeoLife tea. Some of our clients, particularly those in sports, have questioned the amount of caffeine therein. Is it suitable for them? Like, it's a good question. Anybody specifically like to answer that?
Yeah, I'll comment, Drew. I mean, it is a valid question, and I think at one point, and I could be wrong now, but it's not, caffeine is not on any banned list in terms of sports people. Some people were certainly overdoing it and using it as a kind of a stimulant, if you like, or an artificial energizer, because they were going in excess. So it's got 85 milligrams, which is a reasonable amount for sure, but actually to get perspective, and we did this exercise a while back, and I can remember certainly just some of the tea, the coffees that are around, and I think, and if I may mention, even Starbucks coffee is actually over 100 milligrams, one of the variations that they offer. So, you know, just to get it in some perspective. But at the end of the day, it is up to the sports person to actually verify how much caffeine or if there's a restriction on it. As far as I know, there isn't any restriction in terms of sport at the moment.
Okay, great. Great. Okay, next question from Hoden. My question is the product a long-term diet? Speaking to Dr. Andre, you've been taking it for 30 years? How does it work? Okay, that's a good question. Does anybody want to answer that? Is it a long-term? Do we need to take our products long-term?
Absolutely. It's a diet. I mean, it's food. So the time to stop taking your nutrient supplements is when you stop eating.
Or stop breathing, right?
Well, that one too.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I agree. So NeoLife, we never say to our customers or distributors, take our nutrition and eat rubbish. You're going to be okay. Our message to people is eat a well-balanced diet. Eat intentionally. But we know with modern day lifestyles, modern day food processing, our modern day, so many factors, our diets are deficient in the nutrients that we used to get in the human food chain, right? Yeah. And that's why we're seeing so many of the problems, one of the reasons. And so that's where the NeoLife nutrition comes in. We plug those nutrient gaps. And so I don't care how well you're eating and how intentional you are, your diet is going to be deficient in certain nutrients. And that is where NeoLife comes in. And we can show you how to plug those those dietary gaps with good whole food nutrition. And that goes on forever. And as an example, my family have been taking the NeoLife products for 46 years, every day for 46 years. I am second generation on these products. My 3 children, I've got a 12-year-old and I've got twins who are 10. They are third generation on the NeoLife nutrition. And I think one of the greatest things this company has given my family is 3 generations of health and vitality. So it's a long-term, we're not looking for, nutrition is a long-term game. When is the best time to start your nutrition supplementation? Yesterday. And if you didn't start it yesterday, today's a good time to start. Okay. So next question. Please clarify, mind enhancement, is it fit for children? And the dosage. Dosage only indicates the adult dose. Okay. It's a good question around the herbs. Liz, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, we've actually, and I've taken my information from therapists and things out there who've given feedback. So we generally recommend if you're taking 2 a day, that, yeah, we would give it more to an adult, probably over 12 years old. That would be where our point would start. But certainly that people have had very good results using it on younger children. So I would halve the dose, start with 1, but it's made a big impact from what I've gathered from feedback for young children who have had concentration problems or, some sort of ADHD kind of diagnosis. So yes, you can use it, but I would start with 1 a day.
Okay, great. I'm going to put this question forward to Dr. van der Hoeven. Quite a few questions are coming in around cancer. Now, obviously, we're not on this call, we're not saying, take this, you're going to be okay. That's not the message. But the question I want to ask is a general question that is kind of bringing all the questions together is, somebody on chemotherapy, can they take the products? And I think the best way we answer this is, what did you do while you were going through the chemotherapy? What did you take? What did you do?
This is a difficult question because unfortunately in the medical world, most people are told to take no supplements whatsoever while they're on treatment. And I've heard that over and over and over again, and it's happening right now. And that's really problematic because now you've got the person who's treating the patient, giving them instructions, and we can't override those instructions. What I did, fortunately, when I was diagnosed, I spoke to the doctor, and I'm very grateful for this. He said, well, you'd be wasting your money. And he didn't probe at all. So I said, well, I'm happy to waste my money. And I took the stuff anyway. But if you are told not to by your doctor, then you are left with a dilemma, because either you go with that, which I believe is flawed, or you take personal responsibility. And some of the doctors say, well, if you don't listen to me, then I wash my hands of you, or don't expect me to heal you or whatever. And that's a huge problem. So it becomes an individual decision. But what I recommend for people who do want to perhaps explore it is that what the doctors say is that it interferes with the effectiveness of the chemo. So if we give a nod to that, then my suggestion is that a few days before you actually having your chemo treatment, you stop taking the supplements. So you go off them for a few days, you get the treatment, and 2 days after that, you start taking them again. So you give a window of opportunity for the treatment to do its damage. And then you pick up again, because the treatment doesn't work long term. It does its killing of cells basically in the first few hours of being administered. It doesn't, and the reason it doesn't, you don't get treated more frequently than, say, every 3 weeks or whatever, is that your body needs time to recover from the damage that the chemo has caused. So what you then allow your body to do is to recover better in the break times. So do you follow? You take a window where you stop taking it just before and after the treatment, and then you pick up again in the in-between times. But I again say that if your doctor said don't do it, then you're on your own, buddy. The decision that you make is your own decision. It's the decision I took, and I would do it again. But you're putting most people are putting their lives in the hands of the doctors. And if you've done that, then you've got to follow their instructions, I suppose.
Can I just add a little bit to that? Because I spent part of my working career working in oncology. So I know how opposed to nutrition that oncologists are. But, we also have to remember that most of the supplements out there in the marketplace are synthetic. They're not natural. they give a figure of 95 to 98% of supplements that are being sold are actually made synthetically, and not enough people know the difference. And so it is up to all of us who know about NeoLife and the NeoLife difference to point out that no person who is ill should be denied real food. And I see nothing wrong with actually piling on the antioxidants, even during chemo. It's mainly the vitamin B and the folate and all those that are anti-chemo. So we need to really get out there with our difference and be proud of what we've got. Yeah.
And I just ask Cesar a question there. Cesar, you have the advantage of speaking to people as a medical person. People who are not medical people have a dilemma there. You know, for someone who's not medical, and I'm not, to say, I tell you to pack on the antioxidants, even although your doctor has said don't, are putting themselves in an extremely vulnerable position. So, because there's no defense there, you know, so it is a dilemma, and maybe, well, I can't offer a solution other than perhaps say, well, can I get someone for the patient to say to the doctor, would you mind if someone spoke to you about it? I don't know.
I would love to, Andre, but my story is actually quite a difficult one in that I've had a lot of fights with my colleagues.
Yeah.
I've come up against immense opposition, if I may say so. So it's not an easy fight. I must say, we are all up against a lot of pushback. And slowly but slowly the ship is turning, because people are realizing that perhaps what we are saying makes sense. And that's what attracted me to this opportunity, just the sense of it. And yeah, we just have to keep at it.
A question has come in off the back of that. What is the difference? You know, what do you mean by synthetic? What is the difference between a synthetic vitamin and a NeoLife supplement?
Okay. We'll give an example of vitamin E. A lot of we know that the DL-alpha tocopherol that is packaged as vitamin E is actually a byproduct of in the petroleum industry. As they process the petroleum, it's one of the products that can be packaged and encapsulated and sold. That's what I mean by synthetic. Similarly with vitamin C, a real vitamin C should come from food. However, it can also be manufactured in a lab as ascorbic acid. Also, a lot of the B vitamins. That's what we mean by synthetic. When we're talking human natural, it should come from the human food chain, out of real food that is grown in the ground and is from plants that grow in the ground. Not, as somebody put it so nicely, from a plant that is a factory, because that's another name for a factory, a plant. Okay, so one has to be very, very careful.
Okay, so it's natural, whole food means from the human food chain. And I'm guessing our body's going to prefer the whole food version rather to the synthetic man-made version from an absorption point of view, at least. And a question that I have for you guys is, with all your qualifications and your amazing stories, do you ever come across skeptical people? Or everyone you talk to becomes a customer or distributor, right? I'm guessing.
No.
No. Okay, good. So we're all human, and I'm asking that because I want our distributors to feel good about themselves. We will all come across as people. Doesn't matter who you are, how qualified you are, how amazing your story is. People, there will always be the skeptical or cynical person out there, and that's okay. It's not you, it's them. Our job is just to get out there and share, put ourselves out there and share. Their job is to say yes or no, not ours.
Yeah.
Okay. A question that's come in. I know diabetes is a growing problem, a daily growing problem around the world. I know Africa has been identified as the continent with the fastest growing diabetes problem in the world. Not for, I don't want to talk here, but if somebody is diabetic, the question is, can they take zinc? Okay, that's the question. But the follow-up question I'd like to ask is, are there any products that that a diabetic person could take to help manage their blood sugar levels?
Yes, I mean, if you look at the shake, that's all designed around being low glycemic index to maintain good intake of protein and to keep the blood sugars down. You know, in my mind, one of the problems with diabetics is that they struggle with free radical damage. They produce free radicals, and it causes complications. And those complications are ultimately seen as being diabetic complications. So in my mind, a diabetic should be fed, but fed the right sort of stuff. So at least Formula 4, the Formula 4 Plus and the shake. You know, just by giving a diabetic that and maybe using the shake as a meal replacement, if he's or she is able to and willing to do that. But make sure they're nourished. You know, make sure they're getting all the basics on a daily basis, so that ultimately, and this appears to be more and more in the research showing that if you can maintain a low blood sugar, well, not a low blood, but a normal blood sugar consistently as a diabetic, there is the possibility of getting to the point where your insulin receptors are grow, I guess is the way, but they become more sensitive again to the insulin. And that's one of the problems with diabetics, is they become insensitive to the amount of insulin that they're producing. And if you can nourish them, give them the real basics, and then help them to keep their blood sugars within normal limits consistently, the likelihood of them being able to come off some of their treatment, and I'm not saying we do that, that is obviously up to their physician, but if they can do that consistently, they can get to the point where they might well find that they're able to come off it. You will often find that one of the side effects of this would be a weight loss. And just by doing that, you change all of the risks that happen for a diabetic. You know, I mean, it's very basic, but the thing is, we have those nutrients that are available to make a difference.
Can I also add, sorry, Barry,
yeah.
I just chip in there. I found an interesting fact, and that is that blood sugar, glucose in the bloodstream, uses the same transport systems as vitamin C. They have identical modes of transportation. So if there is a high blood sugar, that will inhibit vitamin C absorption. And that's why we see all these dreadful complications of diabetes, where people then end up having amputations and loss of eyesight and all that. Because vitamin C is so important in building tissue, building collagen, building blood vessels, and all the collagen in our body. But if it is competing with sugar, then obviously there's going to be trouble. So yes, we need to always encourage people to manage the weight. And unfortunately, we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to tell people not to eat processed foods, because out there, that is what is available. And we need just to get back to the basics all the time. And I think that's what we learn in NeoLife. Yeah.
Guys,
May I add something?
Andrea, go for it. Yes.
In relation to weight and diabetes are so closely related, it is also true that if the body is properly nourished, it doesn't get the hunger messages in the same way. So you eat less. So the reason people put on a lot of weight is that they're not underfed. They are actually eating a lot, but the food that they are eating does not carry the nutrients that the body requires. So very soon after they have eaten, aside from the sugar dips and so on, the body says, well, that was great, but I need more. And what the body is not saying, the body's not saying I need more calories. It's saying I need more nutrients. And we feed it the wrong stuff, and this cycle continues, and we just put on weight. So for a lot of people, when they are fundamentally well nourished, and that is with the shake and the Formula 4, they just don't feel hungry as often. You don't feel the need to eat as often. And so your weight starts to normalize, and all the other things start to normalize as well. And you're much less likely to eat the junk that stimulates the blood sugars and causes all the other ailments. So a good solid foundation of nutrition is absolutely fundamental at every level.
And
Wonderful.
there was actually a question that I saw flash past about addictions and addiction to alcohol. That's the same principle.
It is the same principle. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, guys. So just a message to the distributors. We don't need to be nutrition specialists. And that's something I learned early in my NeoLife journey, is I don't need to become a nutrition specialist. You don't need to become a nutrition specialist. And yes, we are in the nutrition business, so we should become informed and attend our product trainings. But we should be comfortable if a customer asks us a question, we should be comfortable enough to say, you know what, I don't know the answer to that question. I'm not the specialist, but I know somebody who will be able to answer that question. And then we have the wonderful doctors on the team. We have Liz Geertz. We are backed by the most incredible scientific advisory board. Okay, so I want you to know that as a distributor, you don't need to be the expert. You're backed by incredible experts. And then the other thing I want to talk about, and this is something that my sponsor taught me early in the business, is we need to fall back onto the basics. And very often we get very caught up in, okay, somebody's got that. What is the target solution for that? Remember, our mission is to make this world a healthier and a happier place. We're not going to achieve that mission by helping every sick person become healthy again. Okay, yes, we will help some of them along the way, which is fantastic. But we are really going to achieve that mission by helping the healthy people stay healthy. Prevention is better than cure. Andre mentioned it in her talk. Don't wait for that sledgehammer to hit you over the back of the head before you wake up and do something about it. Prevention is better than cure. And I had a question from a lady the other day that came in, and somebody she loved very much had complete kidney failure. And she said, what can I give him? I've got to help this man. And I said, you know what? It's probably too late. I don't know what we can do. But what I suggest you do is go and talk to the people that you love dearly, that are healthy, and you get them onto some good nutrition so they never go through the same thing. And we fall back on the basics. And before we start targeting our solutions, let's get people to start the basics. The Pro Vitality, the shake. Those are the basics. And if that doesn't fall into the budget, then we can downscale that to the Formula 4, or even the Trenin and the carotenoid, or the Trenin and the omega-3. But let's fall back onto the basics, because we know the Lord has given us amazing bodies. And when we put the right nutrition into our bodies can do incredible things. And we hear these stories all the time. We hear these amazing stories. And so as a distributor, I want you to really hold on to the basics that we have so well. And once people have the basics and they're giving the body everything it needs, then we can look at adding all these targeted solutions. What is the best way to find a targeted solution? Go to your product catalog, and in there you have your immunity. List all the products for the immunity. In there you have your weight loss programs. In there you have your kids nutrition, all the targeted solutions, your brain health, your heart health. You can find all the products that will target those areas. So guys, I just want to thank you very much for your time. We've got a very, very exciting week coming up next week. On Monday morning at 10 a.m., we have 5-diamond director Charlie Bolton teaching us how to build our business and succeed in NeoLife. That's at 10 a.m., building your business with Charlie Bolton. And then on Wednesday evening at 7 p.m., we have Liz Geertz on the line again. We're keeping Liz busy. Liz Geertz is going to be talking. Her topic is targeted solutions for everybody and every budget. And she'll be focusing on the basics and how we can target solutions towards that. And then on Friday, this time next week, we have a dream panel with a few of our president's team members, and you don't want to miss that. So guys, thank you so much for your time. Distributors on the call today and NeoLife family, to Liz Geertz, Dr. Cesar, Dr. Bland, Dr. Van der Hoeven, thank you guys. We appreciate you so, so much. We will be getting a recording of this out to everybody probably later on today. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Drew.